Let's do it!
It's showtime.
Attention Legends Nightclub. Please welcome to the stage, Mrs. Liz Hines.
You know when you sleep in your hair, if you have long hair, if you put your hair up and you put it down and it sticks up so you kind of look like a male composer from the 1800s? Like, I look like hungover Beethoven. And I'm like, yeah, you look great. I can't like see any colors, so I'm gonna go throw up until I can again. My homework tonight is watching an episode of 24. This weekend it was watching a bunch of episodes of 30 Rock. My parents are really nice. They pay for me to do this for an education. But we have a show on Thursday too, so I've been trying to find time to write jokes. And then my other roommate is like extraordinarily smart. She was salutatorian and prom queen in high school. Like, who lives out 2 seasons of One Tree Hill in 1 semester? Who gets to do that? I don't know. In the notebook of the class I hate the most, the margins are all full of jokes because that's what I do during that class, because it's the worst. Sometimes before a show I have to go through all the margins and try to read what I wrote, but I try to get them down in here. I didn't buy this for myself. My friend bought it for me. No one believes me. So she is like a pre-med, pre-law, pre-making me feel inadequate major. And I come home every day and she's like, hey, I cured cancer today. And I'm like, hey, I gotta watch all of Breaking Bad by tomorrow for homework, all right? I'm doing God's work, leave me alone, go tell someone else.
I'm probably often viewed, along with the admission staff, as the people that say no far more than we say yes. There's very little humor in all that. It's a very tense world out there for kids applying to college and then looking at the price. So I think Notre Dame needs to be funnier. And I think Notre Dame needs to attract the creative Catholic, the creative intellectual, and not just the creative Catholic, but creatives that value what Notre Dame stands for, even if you're not Catholic.
So my youngest brother, Pablo, is 11 years old, and he's the cutest, best person in the world. And he has Down syndrome, and he also has this condition called alopecia, which, in case you didn't know, it's a condition in which chunks of your hair fall out. Now, Pablo doesn't really notice that he's losing his hair, because occasionally he'll say things like, I need a haircut. And we're like, do you, buddy? Like, you don't really have much to begin with.
So a couple years ago, my family goes to Universal Studios on a little family trip. And the first thing we do when we get there is we get Pablo a wheelchair. Not because he has mobility issues of any kind, but just because my mom doesn't want to deal with him being cranky after walking around all day. So we get him the wheelchair, and I tell ya, having someone in a wheelchair in your party at an amusement park is like the best thing that you could ever have. We have like the fucking fast pass, we're cutting the line, going right in. Even rides Pablo can't even ride on. We're like, hey, actually he's just gonna sit this one out, but we're still gonna go ahead. We're gonna cut and we're gonna ride this ride if that's okay. And there's this time we're getting off the Hogwarts Express, and we're going towards the elevator, when suddenly
This perfectly able-bodied family cuts us off and runs right into the elevator. And as the doors are closing, I see them look back at us, and I hear one of them go, oh no, he's in a wheelchair. And I'm like,
yeah, assholes, like, you should feel terrible. My brother's got Downs, and he's in a wheelchair, and he's got no hair, because he's got fake cancer. So you know what? Making us wait 45 seconds for the next one's a pretty douchey move.
You destroyed. That was awesome. Yeah, you did that last joke. They
the last one.
lost
That
their
was
minds.
But everyone was uncomfortable that I was talking about my brother with Downs. And I'm like, fucking relax,
I realized when I went out, I was like, give it up
It's
for her
my
fakely
fucking
disabled brother. Then I'm like, wait, shit, he really does have one thing. Shit. It's okay, I don't think they heard, because they were still laughing at your awesome joke.
My son fits 2 things. He's an introvert and he's a loner, but he's very creative. He went to Northwestern thinking about political science and realized after a semester that political science people were extremely serious and highly flawed, and he decided to make fun of them. So he just started writing. He's in a sketch comedy group called Women, 4 guys, called Women.
Alan, do you know what the difference is between men and women?
Not off the top of my head, but Pat may know.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Pat, what's the difference between men and women?
Men have penises, women have vaginas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Pat doesn't know what he's talking about.
This was an artistic kid who never laughed or smiled in high school, and now he's a comedian. I think that's sort of funny, but...
Our next comedian, you know him. Give it up for Dayton Flannery.
I apologize to all the women who thought I had arm muscles.
Surprise.
I usually spend like all day Sunday, all day Monday, Tuesday I'm in class, and then all day Wednesday working on my thesis. And this place, which is starting to really take a toll on the psyche of this guy right here. The solitude is crippling. I'm writing my thesis on films by the Marx Brothers. What I'm getting at is like the prevailing power of the comic idiot.
I decided I wanted to dress like the 1% tonight. 1% of 22-year-old guys who've never kissed a girl in the mouth. 1% of guys whose butt is just an extension of their back.
Hey, I like your skinny jeans!
And my balls don't, though. It's just this fucking thing. So tight.
It was like early second semester, sophomore year, and I was on the track team here. I was recruited to run here, and things just were not going well at all. So I think one night I was kind of just like looking for something to do, and I see like, oh, you know, there's a stand-up comedy show at Legend. So I just like went by myself, and I saw a few people get up, tell jokes, and I was sitting there thinking, you know, I don't see why I can't do that myself.
Like, I've opened the door for chicks, and they'll look at me, and this is my favorite. One girl says, I can open my own door, thank you very much. And I was like, okay, and I just sort of let it shut on her.
I showed up to the next meeting. Maybe another month passed, and I had written a full set. And I had told all my friends about this show that I was gonna do. And like, the whole track team showed up to Legends, and you know, I did my set, and it went like really, really well. I sort of just stopped, and I just had like this big grin on my face, and I was like, wow, like I loved that. I loved that.
I've always wondered, like, if I died before I like started to try to pursue professional comedy, what people would say, if it would be like, oh, he had so much potential, or it would be like, he had this hobby that he'd do.
No, it would be, people love to romanticize the deaths of young white children. You would be like, the next Jim Belushi, but he also died too early.
I had a few parents like approach me at a tailgate a couple weeks ago, and they said something like, oh, you know, what are you doing after college? And I said, I'm thinking of pursuing a career in stand-up comedy. And one of them said something like, you're going to allow your parents to throw away $250,000 so you can run around New York City and tell jokes? And at first I was like really upset, but then I thought like, she just like doesn't get it.
Our next guest made his network television debut with us last year, and we're all happy and excited to have him back with us tonight. He's a very funny man, and he has a comedy album. It's called Welcome to Somerville, and this is available on iTunes. Please welcome, say hello, Michael Somerville, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I love this job. I used to work in an office, which I did not like because I'm not a morning person. I got the job, and they're like, you can start Monday, 9 a.m. I was like, what time can I start Tuesday?
Yeah, people who go to Notre Dame, I don't think are expected to become stand-ups or even be in entertainment. In fact, I'll never forget when I went, I graduated, I think it was Regis Philbin and Phil Donahue were our two big entertainment people. And then finally the school started making an effort to get together alumni who were in the entertainment business, and they had a gathering here at a bar in New York City, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, there's like an alumni entertainment. And I showed up at this thing, and it was a full bar, and this is great, you know, we all found each other. And I talked to the first guy, and I was like, so what do you do? And he was like the accountant for some entertainment. So really not in entertainment. He was an accountant. And then I talked to the next guy, and he was like, oh, I'm a lawyer for blah, blah. Nobody was actually artists. They were all just like business that happened to be in the entertainment business. So that was a disappointment.
And now I get plenty of sleep. If you're not getting enough rest to become a comedian, this is all I have to do today. Then I'm going back to bed. This is it. It's pretty nice, yeah.
Moved to New York right after school and got a job in advertising, and slowly I didn't like getting up in the morning. I didn't like shaving every day, and I started thinking, what could I do where I could sleep till noon and still get paid? And so I started checking out open mics here in New York City, and one thing led to another, and it just kept going well enough that I thought while I was still young, I would just dive in, quit my job, and give it a try. And that was 16 years ago, and if anyone had ever told me how hard it was going to be, I never would have tried. It's even just to get this far. I've been on Letterman 4 times, and I'm exhausted.
I will be happy if I'm doing stand-up and I'm like being true to my art or something like that, and I'm doing it. I know I'm like doing it well. And that'll be enough for me. And if I am doing it well, then like the income will be there.
You know, as any student at Notre Dame who is messing with comedy right now will tell you, it's not really up to them. It's something that's in you. It's something you do, you want it, it's in you, you start doing it, you can't help it. And you can't ignore that, because the truth is, as I was saying about everyone that I told at work that I was quitting, I mean, you'll regret it if you don't really give it a try.
I'll put laundry off until there's literally nothing left to wear. Friends are like, what do you want to do tonight? Well, based on what's left in my closet, I can either go swimming or graduate from high school. Thank you. I'm Michael Somerville, everybody.
I think Notre Dame has a way of going after these students and saying, this is Notre Dame, and being attractive to them. And also, you can come to Notre Dame and take more chances. You're just going to have to be more clever about it. It's going to be harder to be funny at Notre Dame in an effective way. Notre Dame, you're just going to have to figure out where do you want to go outside of the lines, where it's so good that everybody will respect it.
The comedy scene at Syracuse was a lot different. There is a sense that there are equally brilliant people here, but they don't all want to do that. You know, I think most of the brilliant people here want to be doctors.
People here are so lame sometimes. Like, I don't understand it. Like, why? Some people are so uptight. They're so uptight. And I just don't understand how you can lead a life like that.
In its own way, yes, I think Notre Dame is funny. It's this weird hotbed for comedy. It's like this very specific kind of petri dish where, because you have all these religious things happening, and you have people who have a lot of like Irish Catholic guilt, which contributes to this really fun kind of comedy. And that, he's right, and that's on me. I should be sexier when I'm ruining parties. Be like, oh my God, like, stop it. You can't tell me that you don't think that the disproportionate responses to Hurricane Katrina and Sandy didn't have anything to do with racial inequality. You're crazy. Oh my God.
But I think humor influences a lot. If we don't understand how to use humor in the media, will Notre Dame be as effective in the future for being a force for good? So I think funny is part of our future.
Robin Williams said, you're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it. And I think like everyone's kind of got that in them, you know? Like an opportunity to be fun. Like telling jokes is fun, but it's more fun when we're all doing it together and we're all laughing together, and it's not just, it's like organic, it's not forced. To me, comedy is like necessary.
But I think my favorite part of the day of Universal Studios was when we're just walking around and occasionally Pablo would just forget that he was supposed to be handicapped, so he would just get up from his chair. And my little brother Antonio, being the shit he is, every time would say, "It's a miracle!" And everybody in the park stares at us like, "Oh my God!" And that's all I have for you tonight. I'm Raquel Dominguez. Thank you for having me.
Guys, my name's Dayton Flair. That's all I have for you tonight.
That is our show. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to join stand-up, you can email us at standup@nd.edu. Our next show is November 12th, and tomorrow Alice Wetterland from Girl Code is going to be here doing stand-up at 10 o'clock. Stick around for the humor artists. Thanks so much for coming. Have a great night.